Welcome to the Survivor Summit. This is powered by Milagros Day Worldwide. My name is Donna Palamar. I'm a graduate of Healing Voices, and I'm excited to be your host for this interview series. And today, I welcome Christy Fordham. Welcome, Christy.
Hi, thank you.
It's good to have you here today. How are
Thank you
you?
so much. I'm doing pretty good. Doing really, really good. Just had to take care of some errands about 25 minutes ago. So I had to get back home and prepare myself for this exciting event today.
Yes, and I'm
Yes.
so happy that you're here. And the theme for this series is we've all survived something. Isn't that the truth?
Oh, absolutely. It is definitely the truth. We all have come through something. There's no big eyes and there's no little eyes. We've all experienced something. And I definitely do not like the phrase, well, mine was a little bit better than yours, or mine was worse than yours. And we've all have come to a point in our lives where we had to survive.
Absolutely. And it's all important. And it wasn't for naught. It was very meaningful to everybody. And it shows us how we find our strength and build our strength.
I absolutely agree with you. So our strength our strength is in our surviving mechanism. So when we go out and we learn through it. We learn not to go through whatever we went through before, or we learn something completely different about it, or we can be able to go out and tell someone else about what we have experienced. But the main goal of it is we survived. We made it through.
Absolutely. And I think that's a choice. It's not an easy one. And we don't really
No.
ask for what we've experienced, but we do learn. And on that note, since you have survived different things, what advice would you offer another young lady or another woman who maybe have had a similar experience to you?
Well, based on the experience that I've encountered, a long journey actually, I would recommend when you're going through and it seems like it is the hardest part of the surviving skills or surviving journey. Let me say it that way. Surviving journey. What I understand from it, what I've learned from it is look up to the hills, ask for help, let someone know you're going through. You're never alone. Never alone. Someone else has went through this. You're just new at it. They've been through it. Ask for help, and there are resources out there to get the assistance that we need to help make it through. We're never alone.
Absolutely. And they are scary times. And it's, I guess the first reaction we think is we have to do it alone or we think we should do it alone. And asking for help isn't always easy.
It isn't. I can actually relate to that because even Christian people, I've learned, that sometimes can be the hardest to explain. It's like, well, you must have sinned, or you must have done something really wrong for God to allow you to lose your children. And I've learned through the journeys that since I've matured and I've accepted what has happened and I was able to learn and grow from it, I learned that you cannot share everything with everyone
That's
because
true.
people are at a different level. They have not experienced, they have not walked in your shoes. This is your story. This is your history, your life experience. So I do encourage women to, um, how do you bring an elephant down? You bring an elephant down bit by bit, bit by bit. They're too big to try to bring down one stronghold. So you allow yourself to take one step at a time, one day at a time. Take one thing that had hurt you the most and work on it. And I've learned to experience that in my journey. When I was going through, and I can give a perfect example, I went through a time where I felt like I was by myself, all by myself. And once I opened my mouth and shared some testimonies about things, it didn't matter what other people had said at that time because You could see God's hand in the midst of the storm that you're experiencing. You can also see Him outside of the storm, grabbing your hand, asking you to come, let me help you, for
Mhm.
my yoke is easy and my burdens are light. I honestly believe that His is Jesus Christ, and I'm saying Him because He is the one that has strengthened me. And I'm saying that Jesus Christ is the center of of my life. He has helped me get through some hard knocks, memory loss. He helped me recover my memory. I'm still recovering it now, but he's helped me to be able to be stable, have a home, and to be able to work and communicate with people. That was my hardest, was trying to get out in the work field. So that was a big hinder, but I still did not let it stop me. I didn't care if people talked about me. I continued to push forward because I'm the one who has to live. I'm the one who has to survive. I'm the one who has to heal. I'm the one who has to live. And if I want to live, I must fight to live. And I've allowed him to guide me every step of the way. It hasn't always been easy, but he has guided me.
Absolutely. And I think it's hard for people to have an understanding when they have not gone through that experience, and maybe they have their own views or judgments of it. So it's definitely a safe space or an understanding, loving space when someone unfortunately has gone through an experience like that. They can come to you with not just a helping hand, but uh, more of an open mind and that understanding that I get it. I get it.
Absolutely. People just wanted to us to I wanted someone to hear me and not judge me.
Right.
And I just wanted them to listen. And I have few people, probably about a handful of people that help me. I couldn't have done any of this on my own, and I've
Absolutely.
had support, and so I will not take the credit. Um,
That's a huge blessing.
yes,
And I think people really do their best to help, but some don't
um,
understand. And a lot of people will surprise you. I was surprised by a lot of people being able to move past their lack of understanding or judgment to say, hey, this isn't about me. This is about you, and you need
yes,
help. How can I
yes,
help you?
absolutely. I can recall an experience with my mother. She said, "That's why he beat you," meaning he got me. The odds were against me, and he won by getting the children. And she said, "That's why he was smarter than you. That's why he took this from you." And I knew that in her mind, she didn't understand. She did understand. She was just doing hurt people. But it was so easy to write it off because I know I know what I've been through. I know how to overcome now by the grace of God. I do. And so anybody comes to me, I'm like, you have not given me your best shot because it doesn't phase me. And some things get me, like my children, when I haven't heard from them in a while.
Right.
It gets me. But all these storms I went through, they were very tough. And I know that everything else now to me in my mind, it is easy to go through, weathering the storm. So, yes.
Absolutely. And Christy, I just want to say I see you, I hear you, I feel you, and I validate you for the strength that you have developed and continue to develop as you continue on your journey. And um, what's the word I want to use? I know you're still in it, and I commend you for not giving up, especially when it's so easy to, especially when you're weary, especially when the odds seem against you. So
Yes. Yes, you're absolutely right. Even a few days ago, I hadn't heard from my son, my oldest child, and he's been in South Carolina with his father. And I couldn't, I asked God, I said, I need you. I need to know if my child is okay because he's shown me before that he is okay. And this one particular time, I had had a vision of my son, and we had not had communication for a few weeks. And I just felt him. I felt that spirit that was a spirit that wasn't good. And when I was asleep, I woke up, and I while I was asleep, I had a dream about my son being shot, and I saw a visor in the car. And that's when I woke up and I said, Lord, have mercy on my child. Do not take his life for the sins of his father. Have mercy. So I asked him to have mercy. I still didn't understand why I had that dream, but I woke up praying for my child. I get a call days later, and he tells me, Mom, he's 16 now, but he was 15 when he called me. He said, Mom, he said, I was shot at. He said, my car was shot at 7 times. And so when I heard that, I said, where were the bullet holes? He said, one was in the tire, one was in the window, the back window, one was in the visor,
Mm.
and then
Mm.
one was in the front of the side of the car by the lights, the headlights. And he said, I don't know what happened, but I felt you praying for me. And I said, the prayers of the righteous availeth much. I said, but I felt you. So I went down to South Carolina the next day, was trying to get my son to come with me because I didn't want to lose him.
Right.
And he said, I can't go right now. We have to wait on the courts. And I said, he said, just give us time. But the
Right.
main goal of that, God usually does tell me that my children are okay. At that time, I didn't sense any, I didn't hear anything, I didn't feel anything, I didn't know. But He usually tells me that he's safe. And so I
That's
took
pretty
that
amazing.
as a God's love shining down on me. Because when I woke up that morning, Sunday morning, and I prayed that prayer in the name of Jesus, He heard my prayer because He let me know He heard it because my child called me to tell me. And then when I saw the car, I saw where the bullet hole was. It matched the dream
Wow.
perfectly. So that's why I say the strength, when you stay in tune with Jesus and you tell Him all your troubles, He will hear your faintest prayer. He will hear your faintest cry, actually. And He will answer by and by. So I encourage people to get to know who He is. You don't have to know everything about Him. Just talk to Him. Have a personal relationship with Him, and He will answer. Can't say everything will come to at that time because I didn't get things that I had asked. It is not in my time, but it's in His time.
Right. And it's a big part of our lives.
Yeah.
And what you say about prayer, prayer is so important. I realized that if it wasn't for somebody else's prayers, I wouldn't be here, or I would not have come out of what I've
Yeah.
come out of. And you as well validated that.
Absolutely.
And it's
Absolutely.
it's it's important. And during all of these experiences and on your journey, what do you find your greatest strength to be?
Keeping on, moving on and forgiveness.
Mm.
It was forgiveness. I learned how to get the toxin out of my system, my heart, because I know that it was hurting me. I learned that it was hurting me. And each time it came to my mind or heart, I would cry and break over it. And then when I realized I couldn't cry about it anymore, I understood that I had been a overcomer.
Mm.
So when you learn who you are and how God works in your life, and when things hit you, it doesn't matter what it is, domestic violence, rape, um, murder. I can't put them all in a category, but I will
Right.
say everything, if we put it in His hands, the Lord's hands, and if you talk to Him and tell Him what you're going through, He will lighten the load. He will make your burdens His burdens, and it'll be easier. And I've learned through the journey from everyone else. I always said thank you when I was homeless. When I thank Him just for being there. I thank Him when I couldn't hear Him. I thanked Him for everything that I suffered. And then when I got the house, I sang in this house and I thanked Him for this home and thank Him for blessing this home. And He did. So my biggest strength, it was being grateful for being alive. Thank you for His grace, His mercy that was brought upon me. And because of my experience, the people that judged me at that time has come back and made it right and said, I'm sorry.
Mm,
I'm sorry. I was wrong. And I said, it's okay. And then they said, Christy, I noticed every time someone gives you something, you say thank you. I said, I say thank you because I am thankful. When I didn't have food, he fed me. When I didn't have clothes, he provided clothes for me. When I walked out of that house when my husband beat me, he provided a place for me anywhere I went. And I served him through that time as well.
and gratitude is such a huge part of this. And you
Gratitude.
touched on forgiveness as well. Forgiveness is not easy, but it is necessary.
It's necessary for the person because it can infect your heart, your body,
Absolutely.
your mind, your soul, your well-being. You will be stuck in that spot, can't figure out why you're stuck, why you can't get out of that. You have to beat the odds. You got to keep pushing forward and fighting,
Absolutely.
because if you don't, you will die spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. You
Absolutely.
will die.
Absolutely. And also through your journey, what do you think your um, greatest lesson that you learned was so far?
My greatest lesson is never forget your first love. And I say that because when I was married, I loved God. Before I was married, I loved him. I served him. But when I got married, I got a little bit behind on the scriptures and going to church. I went to church, but I saw the difference. And the difference was I was putting more attention into my husband. And I learned by scriptures. I only speaking by scriptures. Never put God is a jealous God and no one else comes before him. And when I put so much energy into my husband, I saw myself changing. Me. It wasn't him. I saw me changing and I forgot who I was. So never forget who you are. Never forget your first love, which is Jesus Christ in yourself. Always believe in you. Never allow another person to say, you can't do that. Because God says, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens you. And I believe we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us, because if it wasn't for me being abused and not having my own place to stay, I would never know what God can do for me. So I look into it as, if I never have a problem, how would I know that God can solve it?
Mm,
So I just, and times I fussed at God. You're not listening. You're not hearing me. So it wasn't sweet. It wasn't always sweet. It was tears. And I just encourage women to love you, because that man says he has this because he earns the money and you're the stay at home mom. It doesn't mean that you have to be a slave. It means that you have to learn, take care of you first,
self-care.
self care. And then once you take care of you, you're so confident in yourself. No one can bring you down and call you stupid or slow or whatever. You don't amount to anything. I'm the breadwinner. And no, we are one in God. We are strong women who can do all things.
Absolutely. And even though we weather those storms, and those storms can be rough, and they have every chance to take you out, what would
Yes.
you say your greatest blessing has been, even in the storm?
In the storm, I actually suffered from depression. Depression, and then I did not want to live. So there was some suicidal there thoughts. And I wanted to get away from it because I just didn't think this marriage was going to last. I mean, I knew it wasn't, I knew the marriage was over. And so I wanted to die because he beat me so bad. And I even had to pick up weight because he was kept punching me so much, biting me, whipping me, running me over with a car. because he had pornography issues. He wasn't a true Christian, and it made me feel a certain way. So when I went through a lot of hardship, being kicked out of the house, going to shelter, I almost believed what my husband had said to me. You are nothing. Go on and kill yourself. You are cancer.
Mm.
If you've been around that for so long, you start to believe it.
It wears you down.
It does wear you
Absolutely.
down, and you start trying to run away because you don't know what to do, where to go, how to get the help, and the help that you have asked for, it is not working. It's not. You're not getting the appropriate help, and so with me, I ran away from the home, and he always found me through tracking devices, and I ran away from home. He always found me, closed the bank accounts, taking money from me, just left me with nothing. And so I learned to allow I allow him to just be himself, do what he had to do, but at the same time, I had to do two faces. I had
Mm.
to smile in his face, and then I had to figure out how am I going to find another way to get out of this. And this was 14 years of slavery for me.
And that's how we learn to survive. We do what we
That's
have
why
to
we
do.
learn to survive. We do what we have to do.
Absolutely. And our time is coming to a close, unfortunately. Um, what message would you like to leave or with us today?
Today is the best day of your life, the beginning of your life. And I say, wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and He will strengthen you. I don't know how long your journey is going to be. I don't know where you are in your journey, but I will say there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's hope for you. And He says in Jeremiah 29:11, which is what I trusted a lot in, for I know the thoughts I have for you, saith the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. I stand on that. I said, where's my hope? Where's my future? And He did it. He laid it out before me in the presence of my enemies. So, yes, I tell any woman, never know your worth, even in the storm. Even in the storm, don't bring yourself down. Keep smiling, keep your head up, and figure out a way to figure that solution out. But never bring it to the attention of the perpetrator, because
Right.
some things it's not meant to be said to them.
You
Learn to
got to
be
do what you got to
quiet.
do.
Absolutely. Learn to be quiet and wait on God
Absolutely. And never give up.
and never give up. Never.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for being here today.
You're so very welcome. Thank you so much for allowing me to be able to speak. It has been an honor, and this is a passion of mine. So I do talk to women and help them.
Oh, beautiful.
Hmm. All
Keep
right.
paying it forward.
Yes, I will.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye.